Seriously, with or without? This is Jordanian.
Hey everyone, this is Rick Liu, and welcome back to the Seed the Startup Journey, a podcast sharing the origin stories of amazing entrepreneurs and their companies in short episodes that are less than 20 minutes. Today, I'll be interviewing the founder of American Falafel, Mohammed Qadadeh. American Falafel is a fast casual Mediterranean restaurant located on the Delmar Loop next to WashU. Its food is authentic and delightful, not too surprising when the owner's motto is, "If I don't eat it, I won't serve it." Before founding American Falafel, Moh was at MasterCard for 18 years, serving as the VP and country manager in the regions of Jordan, Iraq, and Palestine, right before going on his startup journey. Hey Moh, to start us off, can you tell us a little bit about yourself as well as your restaurant, American Falafel?
Well, Rick, first, good morning to you and to your listeners, to your followers on the podcast. The Seed, the Startup Journey is an amazing thing that you're putting together with so many entrepreneurs in St. Louis and outside St. Louis. And I've been happy to listen in, and I am really glad that I'm able to participate in this series. So to tell you a little bit more about me, my name is Mohammed Qadadeh. I am the founder of American Falafel. Prior to that, I used to be an executive with MasterCard for about 18 years. I spent 10 years of them doing technology-related development, advancements in the payment industry out of St. Louis. And the past 8 years I spent in the government and sales organizations of our verticals of MasterCard out in Dubai, helping the Middle East, Asia Pacific, and Africa grow payment, have a more inclusive payment infrastructure to less connected countries and less connected populations, up until the most recent job as the general manager of Jordan, Iraq, and Palestine, these three countries, prior to departing and starting my own venture, which is American Falafel.
In 18 years at MasterCard, what prompted you to leave the corporate world and to start your own business?
So 18 really productive and good years, a huge amount of learning that I've had, the amount of people and relationships that they develop, whether it's in the US or abroad, with customers, with banks who are the primary customers, with governments, are completely invaluable, completely priceless, as MasterCard says. After 18 years, I developed a certain set of skills that I am grateful for MasterCard for growing and honing those skills. And I wanted to take that into my own and have my own venture. As I say, always have my own field to plow, kind of hopefully get the final product out of it that I'm imagining. And that's why I wanted to start a business. It didn't really start as a fast casual Mediterranean restaurant. There was several options that I laid and I thought about, but then thinking of coming back from Dubai to St. Louis, you always, as an entrepreneur, try to solve a problem. Okay, so my problem was I really wanted some really good Mediterranean food, and I know it does not exist in St. Louis. There is Mediterranean options, but the authentic taste is not there. And I'm like, that is kind of an issue or a problem that I can resolve. So it happened that I met a chef who had been in the industry for 27 years in Jordan, and he had moved to the States a couple of years prior. And that was kind of the proper ingredients to start this venture. So as you see our reviews, and the authentic taste of the food is there. I did not change a single thing from the recipe. Although it's a restaurant, you still get the same taste, whether you are in downtown Amman, Jordan, or you're in the Loop, St. Louis.
And so on May 30th was when you opened the restaurant. And on that day, it was also when the COVID cases in St. Louis reached almost 2,000 cumulatively. So what was going on through your head on that day? Like, were you nervous about what lays ahead?
So that would be my crazy moment, wanting to open my business. COVID happened. I mean, COVID did throw a big wrench in everybody's plans. But I didn't want COVID to stop me from moving forward. And I think, although it seems a bit, too bold to open during COVID, especially a restaurant, especially with the risk that a lot of closures, a lot of lockdowns can happen, further lockdowns, further closures can happen. I think we approached it sensibly. We kept everything safe with the use of proper equipment inside the kitchen and outside on the floor where we serve the food. But what really pushed me to actually open is the taste of the food that I have. It's phenomenal. And our success so far in the 4 months, 5 months that we've been open is due to the extremely good, tasty, fresh, and healthy food that we have. And I think it's just going to continue growing. And the word of mouth is spreading. Although slowly during COVID, it's going to hopefully, once I'm very optimistic and hopeful person, once a cure is out there in the next few months, we will get back to normalcy. And this American Falafel idea will grow exponentially then.
Mm-hmm. And I want to talk a little bit more about the food as well, because I've had it and it's awesome.
Oh, thank you.
And I read somewhere that your motto is, if I won't eat it, I won't serve it. That
is exactly my motto. You go to restaurants all the time, and I have a lot of friends that own restaurants. Nothing against you guys. But if the owner of the restaurant will not eat that food, what's the purpose of serving it to people? So my thing in my restaurant is, if I don't eat it, which I have some really particular, things that I look for my food, and I look for amazing taste as being one of them, and freshness of the food to be there. Why should I serve it? I know that you will come and try it once, for sure. You'll try it once at a new place, but then you will never come back. Mm-hmm. And that's not my intention. I want you to come back and again and again. I want you to tell your friends and tell your family. And I want you to have a happy or delightful, to be more accurate, experience. So the motto is, if the food is not right, we will not serve it. Or if I don't eat it, you will not eat it. And the purpose or the mission statement is really to delight our customers. And delight comes from the taste, from the freshness, but also from the atmosphere, the friendliness of the staff, the way they look after you, the way they connect with you, the way they have conversation with you. All of that gives you an amazing experience at American Falafel, and people are really appreciating that so far.
For sure. And it's been over 4 months since you've opened. What would you say was the most challenging moment so far? Would it be COVID, dealing with that, or is there something else?
So the most challenging thing, it's definitely COVID, and opening during COVID and having to adjust all your strategy and plans that you've worked on for 2 years to open American Falafel, to adapt it to COVID, having to be a restaurant that just opened, but don't qualify for any of the government relief because you just opened. It's really opening in mid-2020 is literally you're in no man's land, you feel, because nobody is willing to help you, or there are programs for help, but you don't qualify because you have not been in business long enough. The good thing on the flip side is the people of St. Louis. Mm-hmm. The response that we got from them is quite amazing, and they have been so supportive, and we are so thankful to them. And that is what helped us get through so far.
Mm-hmm. And did you feel that your experience in the corporate world prepared you for the role of an entrepreneur and starting a business?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you do have to have a set of skills that guide you through your venture as an entrepreneur. Still, a lot of the times, you kind of is trial and error, but you do have a set of skills, from a P&L management to a structure to assembly line, how you make the food, how you present it, all of that, and it all comes down to customer experience. How can you morph everything that you do to create the perfect or delightful customer experience? And the corporate world has definitely helped me shape that better or be more prepared for that as I own my own business, for sure.
Mm-hmm. And I also have some questions that I've collected from my audience. Mm-hmm. First one is, how are you competing with all the other restaurants on the Loop? And I think you touched on this a little bit. It's that traditional, authentic taste. Mm-hmm. Is there something else besides that?
So if you think about the Loop, my thinking of the Loop is it's an amazing area in St. Louis. In the 90s, I remember the Loop where you couldn't really walk through the street without brushing shoulders against someone because there's so many people in the Loop. Now, it doesn't seem like it's as active or vibrant as before, but I want to bring it back to that. Like when somebody asks, where should we go to have dinner today or have lunch today? The Loop should be in the top 1 or 2 answers, okay? And there are so many good neighborhoods in St. Louis, but we're gonna work on the Loop. We're gonna really transform the Loop over the next year or two to become that and regain that spot. So I know most of the businesses in the Loop, and we work actually collectively. Because you come here, if you're living in the neighborhood, you're coming here once or twice a week, you're definitely going to try our food, you're going to try the other food. So the more people we bring into the Loop, it's actually better for all the businesses in the Loop. I think American Falafel is unique because we preserve the traditional taste, all right? There isn't Mediterranean food that has that traditional taste in St. Louis. I wouldn't say in the Loop, but in St. Louis altogether. And I think the audience, because it's designed for an American audience, it's not designed for just the authentic audience of St. Louis. The American audience are loving the concept of traditional food. So we had a couple of dishes that were not even supposed to be on the menu. And once I had tasting with, my American family of friends, I would say, they insisted that those dishes, although they're completely traditionally Jordanian, have to be on the menu, like eggplant amman and the galaya section, and that we expanded the galaya section into 4 menu items, not just 1. And they're both so popular with folks in St. Louis, and so we're happy about that. We're really glad.
That's awesome. And do you need to be a cook in order to open up a restaurant?
Definitely, you don't want to eat anything I cook, for sure. So no, you don't need to be a cook, but you do need to have perfect recipes and perfect execution of those recipes. So having a proper chef that can not just cook. The cooking part is part of the operational aspect of running a restaurant, but the prep part, what type of vegetables you need, what type of bread you need, how you're going to present it to your consumers, all of that. For example, the bread. We went through about 25 different types of bread to settle finally on bringing our fresh Jordanian lavash from Chicago daily to serve to our customers. And it's a lot more expensive, but the taste is amazing. And I would not give anything less to our customers.
Mm-hmm. And do you have any advice for someone like me who is still a student, but I'm interested in entrepreneurship and wants to potentially start something of my own in the future? So
don't be afraid to fail, for sure. Go out and talk to people, okay? So people say, I want to be an entrepreneur, and they're still kind of sitting behind their desk and looking at, materials and, literature and such. Go out and speak to people. Walk down the streets. If you're at a restaurant, talk to the owner. If you're at the cafe, talk to the owner. If you're at the library, talk to the person responsible and introduce yourself. And you never know. If you're having a coffee, talk to the next table safely now with the COVID and all. But be outgoing as much as you can and make connections. Life is about connections. Experience taught me that. Everybody is willing to help you, kind of push you a little bit or lift you as you go along in your journey. So you're definitely doing the right thing. Continue doing it. And you never know when the right idea is coming up to a coffee table or a side conversation or while you're walking down the street. I mean, Uber started, during a conversation at a coffee shop that people were kind of getting tipsy and wanted to go home. If you think about MasterCard and Visa started at a conversation in New York where somebody forgot their wallet and wanted a better way to pay. So don't think of the most amazing ideas coming out while you're in the office or while you're studying, or it's always when you're out, it's always when you're talking to people and you connect with folks and there's an idea and then just decide to take it forward and you put in the time and the effort, and that's how it happens.
Gotcha. And before we end, I also prepared some rapid fire questions. So the first one, if you could have a superpower, what would you choose?
I'd love to fly because I love to go and travel.
What time do you usually wake up every morning?
I wake up about 6 o'clock in the morning, every morning, drop my kids to school and then go work out.
If you could have dinner with anyone, who would you choose?
I like Richard Branson, definitely Elon Musk, but many people. Neil deGrasse Tyson, definitely. King of Jordan, for sure. Or the Crown Prince, for sure.
You can have them all in your restaurant.
Yes, absolutely. So,
what do you do to relieve stress?
Working out is good, but stress is, I learned so this stress is not helpful. The stress is there in everybody's life, but I really try to always kind of eliminate stress by thinking about something different, doing something different, and coming back to that stressful subject, maybe a little bit later, a few hours later, where you kind of clear-headed and can think about it in a more methodical way, instead of making that emotional decision, which tend to be most of the time, if you're emotional about it and stressed about it, you tend to make a mistake. So try and calm yourself down, just put it aside, come back to it in a little bit.
Gotcha. And this is the last question, which is, what is the best advice you've ever received?
Best advice I received, I said, don't be afraid of failure and don't fall into this analysis paralysis situation. Just make a decision. Doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. Make it on the best parameters that you have or variables that you have at that moment. Make a decision and say, look, this is what I know. I'm making this decision. If it turns out to be the wrong decision down the road, it's okay. You can learn from it. Okay, you can only learn from failure. Okay, success does not really teach you much. Success is very easy. Okay, but failure is the hard thing, and that's when you have to get up, dust yourself off, and compose yourself and do it over and over again. So always don't fall for that, and don't be afraid to fail. For sure.
All right. Thank you very much for the interview. Thank you for taking the time to do this, and definitely come check out this restaurant. The food is awesome.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Come down, have some falafel.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you want to see our takeaways from this interview, as well as the latest previews and highlights for our future episodes, make sure you follow us on Instagram. You can also find our episodes on Apple or Google Podcasts, as well as Spotify. As always, if there is any question you would like to see asked during our interviews, or if there's a particular industry or company you would like to see, leave a comment below. Finally, make sure you subscribe and share this podcast with your friends so that we can grow our seed of innovation and creativity together. With that, I'll see you next time.